recording is good. So, Karen, where are you?
I'm waiting.
Yay, here she is. So, Karen, thank you so much this evening for volunteering your skills to tell us all about this, storytelling with a brand. So can we all give Karen a round of applause and welcome her to the virtual stage and say, we can't wait. Go ahead, share your expertise with us. Rock us. Go on. Over to you, Karen.
You say volunteering like it's a real thing. You want to make me host and I'll just do this.
Sure.
Okay.
Over to you, Karen.
Right. So I'm just going to share my screen. And before I bore you to death, I just want to show you what story branding is. Now, there's a guy called Donald Miller who wrote a book called StoryBrand, and it's based on the theory of using stories in your marketing. And he came up with this script, okay? So we're going to come back to that because it will start to make sense in a minute. So what he did was he developed a simple 7-step methodology, but basically uses the hero's journey as a template for marketing. And this was actually quite new, but when you think about it, it's just really cool the way he does it, okay? And at the end of the day, your customer should be the hero of the story, okay? You are not the hero. So it's about turning all your marketing and facing your customer and making them king, okay? And it's really cool the way they do it. So the way he talks about it in the book is all stories about 4 things. It's about survival, physical survival, emotional survival, relationship survival, and spiritual survival. And we have to position our products and services so they do one of 4 things. They either help people to survive or thrive, to find love, to achieve an aspirational identity, or to help them bond with other people that will give them support. And this is what influencers do. They bring people together to support, okay? And what they have is this good story. It has 3 questions. What does the hero want? So if our hero is the customer, what does our customer want? And what is stopping them getting what they want? So who is the villain of the piece? So if you imagine Star Wars, who's the hero? Okay, the hero in Star Wars is Luke Skywalker. Who's the villain? The villain is Darth Vader. And what does the hero want? He wants to stop Darth Vader blowing up planets, because that might not be a good thing, especially if he wants to live on them. Okay. And what would the hero's life look like if she gets what he wants or if she doesn't get what he wants? So if Darth Vader won, bye-bye planet, bye-bye Luke Skywalker. If he wins, then bye-bye Darth Vader and hello planet, and possibly Princess Leia, but then it turns out to be his sister, so possibly not. So if a movie cannot answer those 3 questions in the first 15 minutes, it will fail. So if you think about every single movie you've ever watched, it always has a hero who wants something, whether it's a romance story where the girl wants the boy or the boy wants the girl, or they want romance, or they want to get married, or they want the happy ever after. Something is stopping them, and it could be their beliefs. It could be that, the guy's married and all sorts of other things, or complications, or they live in a different area. And then they have to think about what is the happy ever after. Okay, so there are 7 different story types by, I think, a guy called Booker who did. And the hero's story, the hero's journey is just part of it. And this is a summary of it. Okay. And these are the 7 things that come under the story brand. So basically, our hero wants something. And if you imagine a story where the hero doesn't want anything, so Luke Skywalker is sat on Tatooine and he's quite happy being a farmer. He doesn't want to go off in space. He's quite happy there. There is no story. We've just been introduced to him. We've seen him. That's it. Okay. The same way as if a client doesn't want anything, if they're perfectly happy, then how are we going to serve them? So your hero and your customer have to want something, but they also have to have a problem that stops them getting it. So whether it's a mindset, whether it's money, whether it's location, there has to be some obstacle getting in the way of them getting it. It has to be a problem that they themselves cannot solve. So if you think about an awful lot of stuff on social media, if I can't do something, I will go and Google it, or I will go onto YouTube. So it has to be a problem that I can't solve that easily, or I can't be bothered to go onto YouTube to find out. Okay. So our hero wants something and they have a problem that is stopping them getting it. Okay. So you have to be clear about what that problem is, because you are going to be the person who solves that problem. So as part of the hero's journey, then they meet a guide. So in Star Wars, this was Obi-Wan Kenobi. In other movies, it could be different people. So if you think about any movie, okay, just throw out a movie suggestion just to make this a bit more interactive. If you can think of a movie where you've got a hero and they've got a problem and who the guide is. So think of any movie. So Bridget Jones, who's the hero?
Colin Firth character.
Yeah, couldn't think of his name then. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bridget Jones is the heroine, isn't it? She wants to get married. But who's the guide there? So, you know, you've got the two villains in there. So she got all her friends helping her. Yeah. So it's interesting when you think about it. So it could be her parents are a guide. It's not as clear in that one because she's the hero. And she gets the guy or the guy gets her. So yeah. I'm just trying to think of the other movies. So if you've got The Hobbit, Billy Elliot. Yeah. So who's the guide in Billy Elliot that helps him get
the teacher?
Yeah. So he's very clear about what he wants. He's got a problem because of how society views boys being ballerinas and what's going on with the miners' strike and everything like that. And he meets somebody who actually helps them. But it's not enough for them to help them. They have to have a plan of action to help them. Okay. So with Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was a case of we're going to go and meet Han Solo and we're going to get the Millennium Falcon and we're going to go to whatever planet it was and we're going to go and sort of rescue the princess. So he kind of had a plan to help, and then Luke was on board with that. So if you think about other movies where there was a guide who had the plan, who was the guide and what did they want them to do? So do you remember the movie The Associate with Whoopi Goldberg? Yeah. So it was her assistant who had so it's a really good one. It's from the 1980s where Whoopi Goldberg is she works for a high finance company within stocks and shares, and she gets passed over for promotion by the guy that she trained, who basically sucks up, and because she's black and a woman, they won't even consider her. And so she creates this persona of a white guy, a white older guy, and she has all the makeup and the rubber face, and she changes into this white guy and sets up a company where she does all the work with this persona there, gets all the glory, and it gets to the point where she gets so fed up with him she plans to kill him, and it just goes downhill from there. But it's absolutely hilarious. But her guide is her secretary, who shows her what's possible and keeps pushing her and she knows what's going on, even though Whoopi Goldberg's character thinks she's been smart. Okay, but the guide who has a plan has to call them to action. So it's no good having Obi-Wan Kenobi going to the Millennium Falcon and then he decided, oh no, I don't want to go in there, I'm not going anywhere, we're not going to do anything, we're quite happy here, thank you very much. The person who does this has to have this call to action. Okay, And it has a call to action that will either avoid failure or end in success. And usually we want to do both of those things. It could be depending on the circumstances, but usually we want some kind of success for our clients. Okay. And that's what we do in marketing. Okay. And that's what the whole book is about, all 300 pages of it. Okay. See, I guess what I was doing on Sunday. Okay. So this is the script, and this is the structure that he has created. He did a whole website with it. He's got courses and stuff. So this is where he's taken a book and created courses and made lots of money from his book. And this is one of the freebies he does. And the first thing we look at is our character. And so whatever our character is, it's our hero. But the first thing we want to know is, what do they want? Okay. So in your business, who is the hero? What do they want? Okay, so who can name a character in their business or a hero in their business, and what do they want? So Steffi, what does your clients want?
My clients want to feel confident, and they want to be seen and be noticed and share their business and tell people that their audience need to invest in them. They want to be able to bring that across.
But primarily they want to photograph.
Yeah, that would have been the simple version, yeah.
And this is what really hit me when I did it, because for me it's, what do my clients want? They want me to help them publish a book. They want to publish a book. Where do people come to you? And it's just that whole thing of, very simply, what is it do you do? Because that's what they're looking for. Okay. So, and it's just one of those in your face things that was just so obvious. But yeah, so it's just recognizing that your customer is the hero of the story, not your brand. So when you think about your website and all your social media, it's remembering that your customer is the hero. It's not about bragging about how good you are. It's about how you can help them. Okay. And for the story to work, he has to want something. He has to have a need for a photograph for some reason. So what is the reason they need a photograph? What does they need a VA for? Why do they want to do networking? All those things. Why do they need to go for LE services? What do they want? Okay. And the way he describes it in the book is, if your hero was a hitchhiker and you were the person driving, where do they want you to go? So if I'm driving and I stop to pick up a hitchhiker, they don't say, I don't say to them, my mission is to help empower people to do this, that, and the other. They want to go to publish a book. That is a specific place. That is the outcome that they're looking for. So that's what they do. So they don't want to hear about your life story, your mission statement, and your aspirations. And what happens when you apply this on your website is you cut about 90% of the text, because you just go to the heart of what do they want. So they want really good photos that make them look really well. And for them, to get them there, they need to feel confident. But what they're looking for is those fantastic photographs that Steffi does. Okay. So they have a problem, and they have this 4-bit areas for breakdown of this problem. So for every story, there's a villain. So what is the villain? So for my case in publishing, the villain could be the big publishing companies that have got all the market. They make you jump over hoops. They give you very little in the way of royalties. They make you sign away your rights and all these things. So I can make a villain out of them quite easily. So companies tend to sell solutions to the external problems, but what he was saying is people buy for the internal ones. So way Steffi was saying in relation to her photographs, it's the internal problems, that feeling of confidence, that is what people are buying. So yes, they want a photograph, but they also want to look good and be confident doing it. And that's the internal stuff. Okay. So you have to be recognized as the brand who understands your client and understands their problem. And every story has a villain. So somebody who puts the obstacles in the way it should be somebody who, it should be relatable, so people can see that villain, so they can see that it's very clear the villain is Darth Vader. It is whoever the guy was in The Hobbit. I can't remember his name now. Sauron. But it should only be one. So it should only be one villain in there. Okay, and it should be real. So it could be literal or metaphorical, but it should be a real problem. Okay, a real villain. And when you think about your business and the sort of story that you're doing, is there a single villain in your client's problem that stands out, in their client's story, their hero's journey that stands out? And it's trying to think about what that villain is. And sometimes it could be the confidence that, you know, looking in the mirror, the person who is the villain is the person in the face, you know, that's looking at them, because they don't have that belief or that conflict. Okay, so the reason we have a villain is to create that conflict. Okay, so within the external conflict, it's about the problem the villain is causing. So I look in the mirror, this is what I see, I don't have the confidence with it. And then you can look at the physical obstacles, the tangible ones, but the hero has to overcome them to save the day. Okay, so I need to get a really good photograph on my LinkedIn profile because I want to get a job, or I want to look professional, or something else. Okay, so the external conflict is just one part of it, but the internal one is what sells. It's how people feel about that problem. So how does the external problem make the hero feel? And it's about that internal thinking and mindset. And this is where Steffi has got it down in spades. It's that frustration, that doubt. Do I have what it takes? Okay. But there's also the philosophical. Why is it unjust for people to suffer at the hands of the villain? So it's about the oughts and the shouldn'ts. And what we've got is an example from the book around financial planning. So Beth might find this one. So the villain in the financial planning case that they came up with is financial firms that don't listen to their customers, and they're just so annoying. And you can just imagine them on TV where they've got the mustaches and the Terry Thomas look, you know, clicking, you know, rubbing their hands in glee and Scrooge and all those. The external problem that the client has and the hero has is they need investment help. But the internal one is, I'm just so confused about how to do this and what to invest in. So that's my emotional reaction to it. And the philosophical one then comes into it. If I'm going to invest in my money, I deserve an advisor who will explain things in a way I can understand. I deserve a photographer who looks beyond my confidence to see the real me and gives me a photograph that reflects how I want to look. Okay. Have I bamboozled you so far?
Oh, it's excellent.
So if we just, I'm just going to escape out this a second and go back in here. So if we look on here with our character, then we've just done this. So character, you can actually go onto My StoryBrand and sign up, and you can actually type in here, what does your customer want as it relates to your product or service? And you can say who the villain is. And they give you all the different stuff on there. Okay, so you could actually go on here and fill it out, and then you can create different versions for different villains or different things that they want. So it's really quite cool. Okay. So you got that one. So then our hero, we've got the problem, we've got a hero, they now meet the guide. Okay. And there are two things a guide needs. They need empathy and they need authority. Okay. So they don't want another hero, you know, they are the hero. They don't want somebody who is, you know, I'm so brilliant at publishing, I can do this, this, and this, and I can brag and brag. They don't want another hero. They want to be the hero. They want somebody to guide them. So it's about toning down your bragging rights. So a guide has two characteristics. The empathy is, I understand where you're coming from. I've been there myself. And this is what leads to trust. The authority is your competency, your experience, and your skills because that leads to respect. So if it goes back to the whole know you, like you, trust you. If somebody does not like you, know you, like you, or trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So your guide has to be empathetic, but they also have to have authority. They have to be able to demonstrate the competency, the experience and skills to know how to do this. Okay, and this is where those sections come into it. So to do authority without bragging, the best way is the testimonials, to throw statistics at people, to show your awards. And at the bottom there, I can't actually read that, but I think it's the logos of other companies to show the other people that you've worked with. So it's that social proof that it's not me saying I'm good. These people say I'm good. These are the testimonials that say I'm good. These are my statistics. These are the awards. So this is the social proof. This isn't about me saying I'm good. It's about what other people say about me. And that's what leads to trust and authority. And the next bit is the plan. And this was quite confusing when you read the book, because you've got the process and you've got the agreement. And there are actually two different processes as well. So the customer trusts a guide who has a plan. And if you think about your lead magnet is a sample of the plan. So if they don't quite trust you yet, giving them a bit of an inkling of what you can provide is really useful. And a plan is the bridge the hero crosses to arrive at that climactic scene, but it could be the smaller stepping stones to get there. So you've got the bridge going over North Wales, between Wales and Bristol and Wales, but you could have smaller stepping stones because that's quite a big bridge. And it might seem quite daunting. I mean, every time I go over there, I'm in the middle lane because I'm terrified of heights. But give me smaller steps and I will break it down. And this is where goal setting is really important. So if you look at your hero, is it a big bridge or a little bridge? Can you break it down into smaller steps that they will find it more useful? But it's all about creating that path of hope. You're right. Okay, so the plan has to clarify how somebody can work with you. What do you need me to do now? And it has to remove that risk of investing with you, and it has to alleviate confusion. And I looked at my website and I just thought, oops. So I'm going to have to redo my website completely after looking at this. So it's just keeping it simple. And so why does somebody work with you? How can they do it? Okay, so very simple. What do you do? I sell books. How do I work with you? Book a call. Job done, So in the book, they talk about these types of plan. So there's a pre-process plan. And these are the 3 to 6 steps that a customer needs to use our product. So it could be schedule a call, we'll create a customized plan, and then we'll work on it together. 3 steps, easy peasy. Very easy to see how it works, very easy to see how you work with me. But it could be the post-process plan. So it could be that you've bought my product, now you've got this course and this Facebook community, and then we're going to do a monthly support call. Okay, so look at it before the person buys and after the person buys, and think about what steps you could put in there as part of the plan so that they can see the processes you've put in place to support them. So if you think about a car, if you go to a used car showroom, an awful lot of people are reluctant to go there because they might get a car that's not very good. So what can they put in place to allow people to feel more confident that they will be able to buy? So there's all sorts of stuff in there that you can do. But there's also this agreement plan. And this is a way of alleviating that person's fears, and it's about your values. So one of my values in business is kindness. And because people understand where I'm coming from, they can align with that, and that gives them that trust factor. They know because my business is built on kindness, I'm not going to scam them. If there's a problem, we'll work it out and sort it out until it's sorted. So it's one way of increasing the perceived value of your product, and it might lead you to be able to charge more money for it because you've sorted out their fears they know that whatever happens, you're going to help them. Okay. So when you're filling it out, you've got the process part of it, but also the agreement that you're making. What guarantees, what values are you bringing to the table that will help them with their plan to ensure that they will actually achieve what they want to achieve? And then it's this calls them to action. And you've got two actions here. You've got the direct and the transitional. Okay. Customers do not take action unless they're challenged to take the order, you know? So it's that basic thing of ask them to place the order, and don't just do it once. The book basically says you need a call to action in the top right hand side of your website, in the middle, and at the bottom. Now those calls to action could be schedule a call, buy now, or it could be simply get my email opt-in. Okay, those call to actions should be bright, they should be visible, and they should be very clear about what it is to do, and they should be easy to find. Okay, so there's two types of action. There is the direct one, which is basically, will you marry me? And if you think about relationships, you know, if you haven't built up a relationship, if I go up to you and say, will you marry me? You're going to say, no, I don't know you, don't like you, don't trust you, bye. So unless you built up that relationship, then you probably will get a no. So those buy nows, call today, schedule appointment, you may not get them. Okay, and this is where you have your transitional calls to action, and this is, well, do you want to go on a date? And this is where your email opt-in is so important, and your testimonials, your samples, your free trial, whatever it is, it's getting to know you. So we're going to go on a date, we're going to get to know each other better, I'm going to learn more about you, you're going to learn about me, and I'm going to see how I can help you. And then maybe when we have a bit of a relationship, when I ask you to marry me or buy now, you're going to be more happy to do that, you'll be ready to do that. Okay, does that make sense? No, stunned silence.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Excellent.
Yes, it makes
Very
sense.
helpful.
Okay. So then we got to the end point. So basically, every human being, my voice is going now. Every human being is trying to avoid that tragic ending. They don't want to be Juliet. They don't want to take the poison. And apparently, people are motivated by loss aversion. And he was saying there's this statistic and this research that says people are more upset at losing £100 than actually being given £100. Okay, so that loss is just really something that they just don't want to do. Okay, so to help them avoid failure, they have this 4-step process, and it's helping to make the reader know they're vulnerable to threat. So when you're talking about your client, what is that threat? So who is the villain? What is the problem? What is the threat they're facing? Okay, and then what action should they do to reduce their vulnerability? Okay, tell a specific call to action that protects them from the risk, and then challenge people to take that action. So this is about almost your email opt-in, you know. So in relation to the photographs, who are the villains? The villains are those people that take photographs that will take your money, leave you looking like rubbish, leaving you like feeling like crap. But this is what you should do to take action to avoid that. You should have a look at some of the photos I've done, have a look about my testimonials, book a call with me, and now we can take some action. So I'm available on these dates. This is my calendar. Book in and we'll have a chat. Okay. But fear is one of those things that is like salt in a recipe. If you give people too much salt in a recipe, it tastes awful. And if you don't put enough salt in there, it doesn't taste of anything. So you only need a pinch of salt in any recipe. And in the same way, you only need a pinch of fear and loss aversion in your sales thing. If you scare people so much, they'll just go running, and they'll run in the wrong direction just to avoid that fear of failure. Okay, so you just give them a pinch to give them the idea that they're vulnerable to a threat, and you can actually help them get around that. Okay, and then it's about getting into success, because we're going to have success. So never assume people understand how your brand can change their lives. You have to tell them, and you have to make it very, very clear. Okay, so if we go back to our story brand, okay, so we have a character. So if you want to do this yourselves, or if you want to sort of play around with it, so if you want to imagine a character, who would be a character in your business? So who wants to sort of play around with this for 5 minutes? Yeah, anybody?
Fine. I volunteer. What am I doing? Say again.
Okay, so who is a character? So who's the hero in your business? Who's your customer? And what do they want?
My customer. Do you want me to put it in a whole story now, or just like
No,
bullet
we're just
point?
we're kind of gonna fill in this script.
Okay. My customer is Josie, and she is a life coach.
Okay, so what does she want?
She needs a photograph for LinkedIn.
Okay, so what is the root cause of her problem at the moment, and can you personify this as a villain? Okay, so what is the problem that she's trying to solve?
She finds it difficult to be photographed.
Okay, so the external problem, as in relation to that is the getting seen on the photograph, or what?
Just like in the photograph, just the.
Right, so you got the villain. So to me, some of the villains could be the photographers that do bad photographs, and then the external problem. If you've got a bad photograph and you put it on LinkedIn, what's the effect of it? And then the internal is, how does somebody feel getting a bad photograph?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then the philosophical is, why is it plain wrong to be for customers? Everybody is entitled to a damn good photograph of themselves. They're entitled to feel beautiful and look beautiful and all those different things. They're entitled to it. They ought to have a good photo on LinkedIn. Why not? They deserve it. So it's that passion of, you deserve to have a good photograph on LinkedIn that makes you look confident and professional. And I'm the person to do it. So you as a guide, then, how do you display empathy for your client? How do you show that you understand their problem?
In my case, because I totally know how it feels to not be confident.
Yeah. And this is where you do so brilliantly, because you are so good at what you do, but you also understand your customers, and that's why they love you so much. And with your authority, because you've got all those photographs you've done, and it's also that social proof with there. So you don't need to brag, because you've got all these people who say how good you are. And now you're going to have these awards that you can put on your website as well that say that. Okay. So who gives them a plan then? So we've got a character with a problem and they've met you. What is your plan? What is your 3-step process to get them to sort of buy for you or get a photograph with you?
A, book a call.
Yeah.
B, run through their story. Why? What do they try to achieve?
Yep.
And C, give them a strategy for the photo shoot to tell them how can they achieve looking their best.
Okay. Is that on your website?
Not yet, because it's still being built.
So it's not like mine where it's small.
It's still a work in progress.
Well, this will give you an idea. So you have the schedule a call now, but this is the process of, this is what we're going to do. Step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this. and keep it very short and sweet, and have some photographs there, because that whole thing, picture paste of 1,000 words. Okay.
Okay. Can I just ask you about the social proof that you mentioned, though? You mentioned the logos of people that you've worked with. For in my case, for example, that would be the Guild of Photography.
Yeah.
But
So you've got
are you just able to use their logos on wherever, or do you need permission from people's logos, or what do you need?
I would speak to them, because I know I've got logos on my website where I'm associated. For example, I'm a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors. So when I sign up to it, they do give me a logo that I can put on my website, because I'm advertising them as well. So you could say, do I need permission? It's also things like, have you done a piece for the local newspaper? Have you had a photograph in the local newspaper? Can you put their link in there, as seen in this thing, as seen on LinkedIn, as seen in here? And then you've got the other things about, as shortlisted finalist in these awards, and put those on your website as well, because that will give people a lot of confidence with you.
Okay, thank you.
And then in terms of the agreement then, so this is around your values. What sort of things could you put in place with that? So, is it a case of, choose the best photographs, and if you don't like them, then, what do you do if they don't like?
Yes. The clients get a gallery. They get, for example, there's 250 photos, but in their package, there's 100 that they can choose, which they like best.
Yeah. And you've got those. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so calls to action then. So you've got the direct action. So the button that says, call me, schedule a call, go click this button, it will take you to my diary, we'll book something in, and then the process on there. What about the transitional ones? Have you got any transitional email samples, anything like that?
Remind me what that is as an example.
It's almost like an email opt-in. So it could be, your email opt-ins could be 10 things you need to do to prepare for a call for a photograph. So 10 things to do before your photographic shoot.
Well, yeah, when they book, they get a full schedule, but I don't have anything like pre or prior to booking that they get, apart from the lead magnet, for example.
Okay, so what's your lead magnet?
It will be, again, there's a work in progress, it will be the 6 top tips on how to feel confident when you have your photos taken.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's the transitional one. So that gets them.
Very cool.
I want to date you, because you're going to tell me how I'm going to feel confident in a photo shoot. And then once we do that and we've had a call, we'll get to know you, and then we can we'll marry you later. Okay. So I'm just going to move you out of the way. So what do you do that helps them avoid failure?
I guide them. I give them a clothing guide. I give them, or I location scout, so they don't end up in their cluttered kitchen in a photo shoot in the house. If I know they've got a messy house, we're gonna location scout and go elsewhere.
Nice.
So it's like ideas for them to know that they get the best outcome.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you do that enables the success in the end? So how do you get them to be successful?
Oh, that's a tricky one. How would I answer that?
Take the photographs to start off with.
Yeah.
So how do you show up to make the most of that photo shoot?
How do I show up?
Yeah. So you show up early, you've got everything set up, you've got really good cameras.
Yes, I'm prepared.
You prepared.
They get a shoot plan.
Yeah.
If that helps, they get a plan, so they know what's coming to them.
Yeah.
This is what happens first. This is where we go after.
Okay. Right. At the very bottom here, we've got this character transformation. So it's what they were like before they met you, and what they were like after they met you. So what is the transformation? So from a person who really hates their photograph on LinkedIn to someone who is confident and has this amazing photograph that they can use for their personal branding.
Yeah, I just had an example of that actually. There's a lady who doesn't make many sales, and we got in touch,
Yeah.
and she's got no photo on LinkedIn, and she's got no information on LinkedIn. So the result of that is that her sales are really dry. Where when we take her photo now, and she will put it on LinkedIn with a professional headline and with the whole shenanigans together, there's no doubt that people will stop on her profile to be intrigued of what she's got to sell.
Yeah. And because she looks confident, professional, that goes back to the know you, like you, trust you bit. We've got a photograph that we can actually trust because, wow, that person that's really well presented, well put together, confident, and it shows in their photograph. Because we don't want to, you know, if somebody looks anxious in their LinkedIn photograph, that doesn't engender confidence in us. So if they look confident, we're going to be more confident in there. So it's that huge transformation from, you know, this is your before and after photograph. So
absolutely. And also, if you, I mentioned that today on a live call, if your end client is a high-end corporate senior management, the crossed arms, confident position, really professional works. If you are a coach for suicide, though, that approaches parents, they would probably be really taken back by that pose and by that photograph. So they would need the more friendly, approachable, trustworthy, I can bring my problems to this lady and I'm going to feel, you know, understood.
Yeah.
So it differs from person to person, and I think you need to bring that across.
Yeah.
In
So
speaking to your clients.
you can have that as part of your social proof then, that this was the before photo and this was the after. So because the before photo could be something that they took themselves, and the after photo is something you took, and then they can see the difference, and then they can see the difference that had on their profile about their work, their business, and how people were engaging with them. So you can show the transformation from really crappy photo to wow photo. And that would be the difference that you could bring. So does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So can you see how you could use this brand script? And bear in mind, this is free and you can all go in and get it. Can you see how you can do this? And even if you're not sure, if you click on that, they've got a video that tells you. So they've done everything to make this as easy as possible to use their book. So buy the book, to go and buy the course, which is available shortly. So they've done everything that they could do to help you buy the course and buy the book, be successful using their thing, their process, so that you share it with other people. And then again, they become the guide to getting marketing done really, really well. Okay. So that's it, really. That's just the book StoryBrand. That's how they've done the whole process of the StoryBrand. And they're just using one type of story, the hero's journey, where your client is the hero, you are the guide, and it's your job to solve their problem and get them to that happy ending. Okay, and define what that happy ending is for them. There you go.
Round of applause. Thank you, Karen. Wow, what a lot of hard work you put into preparing that. Thank you so much. So I'd really like to get some feedback from everybody. You know, we've and thank you, Steffi, for being an example, you know, a case study for this evening. It makes more sense when somebody, you know, presents a case study and we work through how we would actually tackle some of those questions. I can't wait to order the book. I can't wait to get online and use some of those samples, because I'm already recognizing my website, as you say, Karen, needs a really good shuffling now that we really understand, you know, it's the hero's journey and not about us sort of showing, you know, just how important we are. So thank you so much for that insight of learning. So I'd like to go around for everyone and find out, what did you learn most from that presentation, and how do you think you can make it work in your business? I'm going to come to Beth the Pound. Beth the Pound, our financial advisor. How could you use this, Beth?
Well, it's such an easy process when somebody's explained it to you, isn't it? It's so logical. And once you've got a step-by-step guide to follow like that, I can think of 7 or 8 easy examples that I can build using that format.
Wonderful, thank you. And we'll come to Beth the Dress.
Unmute.
Marvelous. Yes. Again, a lot of these things, they're great reminders. I love this fear is like salt, because whenever I'm selling whatever I'm selling at the time, I always want to put a little bit of fear as to what will happen if you don't do this. But that was brilliant. What I found personally is, again, when I start talking about my awards, that's about me. When I start talking about, oh, this person said this about me, what they want to see, what does more than anything for me is when I show this person was really lost and really frumpy and really what they didn't want, and this is where they are now. But again, with a lot of my clients, I can't, they don't want to be all over Instagram. So I've got to not stage, but use clients that agree to that sometimes. So it is, I think, already what I'm doing, but it's always good to see it in like a different
format
and in a more structured way, because sometimes I'm all over the shop with it, but it is, exactly what you've said. So marvelous. Thank you, Karen.
Lovely. Thank you, Beth. And we're going to come to Yvonne. So Yvonne, what did you get from that? How are you going to put it to work?
Well, it's been really helpful for me. I love a list, so I'm quite happy to have 7 things. It's really appealed to me. And as I'm writing the content for my website at the moment, it's really going to help me just get that tightened up a little bit.
And remember,
Excellent.
everyone will have the recording as well, so you can actually go through this on YouTube afterwards. So a great resource you've created for us, there, Karen. Amazing. So I'm going to go to Ellie. Ellie, are you still there? Because we haven't got you on camera. So how are you going to use this, Ellie? How are you going to put it to work?
Oh, it might help if I press the unmute button. How am I going to get it to work? I think this is obviously quite an important one for me. I had put something similar together rather a long time ago, but I think potentially it could work very well in terms of the recommendations and obviously the treatment successes, etc., etc. But I think I'd rather like Karen to do it for me, to be honest. Much easier. Why have a dog and bark yourself? So Karen, heard that now.
Well, if you think about your transformation with your healing hands,
the healing hands.
the facial, the befores and afters, and the relaxation. Before I came to you, didn't have the massage then. We couldn't sleep, but now I'm asleep. And all those different things with those transformations, the skin transformations that you do, there's so much stuff. So you're the guide again into really good healthcare, really good skin care, and the transformation that people can see visibly.
Definitely. So I think as well, for me, it's all about getting some really good before and after pictures, which I do struggle with actually, getting the ultimate angle for the picture. So Steffi, maybe we need to have a conversation about that.
Absolutely, yes.
And in your case, your villain is the wrinkles and all those things that make people feel a bit older, and the reason why they come to you. Because they've got really good skin that looks young and useful and all those sort of things. So
I now just need to clone myself so I can continue to work on this.
Yeah. And we've still got a Spire in 2 weeks' time as well.
Thank you, Ellie. We're going to go to Steffi because I know she's got to go in a minute.
Yeah, if that's okay, because I got to move the car because I'm literally in the gate of the cadets and they're closing the gate in a minute and I don't want to get stuck overnight. Yeah. As soon as Karen started the presentation, I already put a story into my head and I almost felt like I immediately want to write it because Karen knows I'm a bit of a talker. On LinkedIn, I talk a lot and I write a lot of content. So this is a really fresh new outlook that I've seen. And I followed that kind of similar thing in a feedback recently that I learned from a copywriter, actually, where instead of just posting a Canva feedback with 5 stars saying this is what my client said, I actually turned it into a story saying, you need a photographer because this, and this is because this is your outcome. And my client, Angela, actually said that she felt this and this and this way. So instead of just posting one small feedback, it was put into a story, but with the feedback of my client attached to it. It was really interesting. And when I heard about how that works, I thought I'm going to try that now, and it worked really well.
Excellent.
So Miriam, over to you. And if you have to go, Steffi, we completely understand.
Sorry, guys.
The rest
See you
is-
soon.
Bye. Bye-bye. Miriam, what did you get out of this evening? Where's Miriam gone?
You're on mute.
No, I was on mute again. Sorry. For me, I've used kind of story branding a little bit with people that have commissioned work from me, and then I have used, so, you know, this is Lottie. She wants to buy her mum a really special gift for her 50th birthday. This is what we did a commission, we met up, all the rest of it. I've done it like that. And I think because I have done some posts already like that, but this time, because I know it, my clients or my potential clients don't actually know it. So having Karen break it down the way in which she did, I have probably got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts that are about the same thing, but dissecting it to make it clearer for potential clients.
Oh,
Which is
excellent.
great. Which is great, really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miriam. And coming to you, Tina, it's your first time online with us this evening. So it'd be interesting to know, what did you enjoy about this? How will you put it?
Yes, Cheryl, thank you, and thank you, ladies, and Karen. That was really useful because I only launched my business in December. So of course I'm full of ideas and I want to get sort of out there straight away. But knowing that a VA, you know, that there's quite a lot of people that have set up a VA, especially since COVID, lockdown, etc. I just don't want to be the run of the mill. I know I can offer something a little bit more different. I'm more passionate about what I do. I'm a problem solver, so I'm the guide. So I could relate to an awful lot with what Karen was saying. But now I can go back, have a little look at my website, my tweets, my various social media, and I've got loads of ideas. So thank you, Karen, really, really useful. And it's lovely to join and meet you ladies this evening. Really happy, thank you.
Thank you. And coming to you, Lorna, what have you learned this evening? How will you put it to work?
Thank you, Karen. I enjoyed that. For me, the element that really sort of grabbed me was the planning stage. Because it's something I'm working on at the moment, the pre-process and the post-process plans. So that's something I really latched on to. And also when you said about, it resonated with me when you said about alleviating fears, because as a photographer, I mean, some clients liken it to a trip to the dentist, only worse, in terms of, you know, the anticipation leading up to a photography shoot. And whilst I try to remember it, it's something that, you know, if I put that plan into place every single time, you know, I'm going to how can I enhance customer experience, and that's what it's all about. So thank you.
Thank you. So what did you learn, Karen, by going through that whole experience yourself? Because you put such a lot of work into the slides. I know you'd read the book, but what did you learn by almost like going back through it again?
I think I had to literally go chapter by chapter and go through each different one to try and understand it and catch the essence of it. I think for me, it was mainly that, God, my website is so bad. That, you know, I think the one thing that he says is that when people go through this process on the website, they take out about 90% of the text. So it's just making the website so much simpler. You know, what does my customer want? They just want to publish a book. Who's the villain? Well, it could be the big companies that take the control, give them a little bit of royalties, but may give them a bit an advance. But, you know, the really big ones, you have to go through an agent. So, you know, you don't have to faff around with that if you work with me. It could take 2 years for your book to come into, because they're doing all these different things, where I'm just one person, so we can do things quickly. It's more personal, more bespoke. So it's about those, who is the villain, and what is it about those external and internal and emotional reactions to having the book? What are the obstacles stopping people to having the book? The fact that they don't know how to put it together, they're not sure how the process is, all those different things. So for me, it's about putting all those different processes in place on my own website, and doing what I do, what I say, not as I do.
And that reminder you gave us about, sometimes we're expecting our customers to marry us too fast.
Yes.
Whereas there should be more of a gentle warming with lead magnets and all sorts of opt-ins and other little trinkets that we can, sprinkle over that relationship, because that's how I got to know Tina, because she kept liking my posts all the time. And in the end, I thought, who is this Tina? Yeah.
A bloody nuisance. So.
So again, what could we be doing to expand our audience in really gentle ways? It doesn't have to be sort of so hard hitting, does it?
Yeah, we just have to date people. We don't have to marry them all.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you for the investment of time in that. I know lots of ladies are waiting to pick up this recording because for some reason or other, they just genuinely can't make this evening. I wonder if you could hand back the host to me, Karen, so I can grab the recording at some stage. And I just wanted to quickly update you all that next week, I'm sure you met Bethan, social media Bethan, from last week. Well, I was working with Bethan on something called a business orbit that those people in Aspire are getting familiar with. And Bethan is really scaling up her business. So I'm going to be asking Bethan to come back and for her to share with you how she very quickly, within 1 hour, did a new business plan by creating a visual that's all about how to orbit your ideas just on one simple page of A4. You'll get the plan yourself how to do it, so you can play with the model afterwards. But I think it'd be really interesting for you to see a business like Bethan. She employs 5 people and is very quickly going to scale up from where she is now to 1 million in under 5 years. So I think in real practical terms, it's, how do I plan? And I know Beth the Pound is an amazing planner, but how to visually put together a 1-page business plan using an orbit and using Bethan as a real live example. I think it would be a great opportunity for us all to really get our heads around visualizing how this year is going to go, and what are the relationships there between our marketing, our social media, the people we're working with, and how much money we're going to earn. So a really practical session, and that's next Tuesday evening. I'm also going to be talking to Jane Baker to see if she'll do us a session on LinkedIn. I'm also going to ask Lisa Marie Brown if she'll come online and show us how she uses social media, because she just, the following she had is just vast, absolutely vast. So Lisa will be joining us, and we're going to be making an announcement about nominations for Welsh Woman of, we do the top 100 business awards for women. So we'll be asking you to nominate somebody, or even nominate yourself, because we will have a fantastic event. And wouldn't it be great if you are one of those top 100? And so watch this space. We will let you all know. Are there any questions before we go? We've got 5 minutes. If there are any questions people would like to ask. No? Are we done? So I'm going to stop the